Hello and welcome everybody. This is the XX Network Council meeting for October the 18th, 2022. And we are going to be covering numerous subjects coming from the different development departments of the XX Network. We thank you for joining us and we will get started right away here. My name is Aaron Wellwood, also known as CryptoWell, and I will be chairing this meeting. We will have an introduction, then we'll move on to DevOps from Ben Wenger from Elixxir and Bernie Cardoso for the XX Foundation, XX Network blockchain. Then we'll have the marketing and growth side from the foundation hosted by Will and myself. And then we'll do some general announcements at the end before wrapping up. Now here I'll just share this slide explaining about what these are about. So the purposes of these meetings are to document the ongoing vision and development of the XX network. Chair is chosen for each meeting. In this case, it's myself. They're about 40 minutes in duration. And of course, the meetings are recorded for archiving purposes. The presenters will be given an allotted time marked in gold to share on their subjects relevant to their department, and the community members can interact with the council and developers in the International Engagement Council meeting text chat in the Discord. Without further ado, I'll hand this off to Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, so the development roadmap for Elixxir. So last time we reported on a few things, and pretty much all of those tasks are complete or near complete. So one of the biggest and hardest and most fraught things we were working on was to get the XXDK running from JavaScript. I could report today that it works, and it works well. And you'll see you'll hear a little bit more about that. So we've also worked on payment integration in the XX Messenger. We have the basic cryptography and comms layers written. We're working on building up from there. We're also working on decentralized account backup with our partner Crust, and that's mostly done. We need to do some tests with them. We need to finish UI implementation. We've been dragging a little bit of that on our side, and you'll see why in a minute. The CTIDE implementation, yes, CTIDH does spell CTIDE. You know, cryptographer is a little cryptographer. Is actually, we got some really good news today. The group we're working with to make sure that can run on phones is actually done, and they've got a working version. We are now working on fully integrating it with our technology and getting into the XX Messenger. And we're continuing our work to support dApps and partnerships with groups who want to work with us. You remember to my presentation on the last development roadmap, I talked a lot about channels and something bigger that we've learned. I'm going to right now announce a new product, a new initiative, which is on the cusp of launching. And by the cusp, I mean this month. And so let's get into it. I am very excited for this. I think this is going to completely change the game for XX. Speakeasy is the place to speak your mind. It is a new product that we've been working on, which is built on the fundamentals of channels or large-scale group conversation within the XX network. Today, in modern social media, people rent their identities. You rent your ability to use it. They are walled gardens, little oligarchies that the second those who run them don't want you there, you're gone. This is a far cry from the way that we imagine communication, which are censorship-free and surveillance-free public squares, places where we can express ourselves in order to converse, not in order to be punished. And I think that most people will agree that people really should have the right to self-govern and self-moderate and speak for themselves without fear of reprisal. And that is what we are building right now. Speakeasy is this. It's the freedom to express yourself, be it your thoughts or beliefs, and at any scale. It can be a small group of friends or it can be to millions of people. Speakeasy is the ability to talk about what you want because it is the first surveillance and censorship-proof social media system. And it creates an environment where your speakeasy is yours. Speakeasy isn't owned by me. It's not owned by the XX network. It is owned by the users. This is a product where users can create, share, and communicate with absolute privacy. Or they can open it up to the world. You can create your own speakeasy or you can join others with their invite. These systems are the users to manage and the users to own. And we're able to do this because of how Speakeasy is built on XX Network, how the architecture is trustless, and it allows for speakeasies which can never be censored or tracked. No one can even know that they exist unless they're in them. Users can feel secure knowing that what they post or say in a speakeasy can't be traced back to them by anyone ever. And just as important, or maybe even more important, I have timed myself. I did it just before this meeting. It took me about 20 seconds to go to the website, create an account, log in, make a speakeasy, and send my first message. It is easy to use in a way that even modern social media would be jealous of. And we're able to do this because speakeasy is fundamentally different. It is decentralized. So a speakeasy isn't a place. It's not a location. It's not an address. A speakeasy is a pattern. Your speakeasy is spread across all 400 plus nodes, and as the network grows, it's spread across the entire network per a random and private pattern that can't be reversed. You don't know that a speakeasy exists or where it is or where the messages are unless you are in the speakeasy. And then when you send to this pattern, that can't be traced back to you because of CMIX, because of the metadata shredding. And then when you're in one of these speakeasies, your identity, who you are, is owned by you. It is often talked about that we need to move from central registration servers to a blockchain. We've done one better. We've skipped over the blockchain. There is no central registration at all. So we've got some new technology in how we generate our code names, which makes it so that when you first log into Speakeasy, you choose a randomly generated code name. You can generate as many as you want, but you're pretty much assured that no one will ever get your code name as well. And so this means that there doesn't need to be a central registrar. There doesn't need to be a server which says, no, that username is taken. And it means that there is no list of all the users in this platform. It is so decentralized that identities don't have a system. They just exist. And when you combine this all together, it gives us a feature set which is unlike anything that exists today. Even the most basic form of privacy encryption is only starting to be available in channels. WhatsApp has it. They've got something on Signal, which I've not listed here because they're doing is hard to compare. But once you go beyond that, it doesn't exist. This is censorship proof. No one can know where your speakeasy is. And even if they could, they couldn't delete it. It's spread across the nodes. Your identity is owned by you. You don't own it because some central server says, yeah, he has the phone number. You own it because you've got the files and you can transfer them to as many devices as you want. And these identities are untraceable because of CMIX. And its channels are untraceable because of the patterns and because of CMIX. And it's surveillance free. And this is only possible because of Web3. But more importantly, it's only possible because of the Web3 enabled by the XX network. The XX network makes Speakeasy possible in a way that nothing else can do. Now, we've announced things before, and I want to tell you about this timeline. So today's October 18th. We're announcing Speakeasy. Tomorrow we've got the network upgrade. We're going to spend a few days, maybe a week or so, making sure that it works well on mainnet. I'm pretty sure it will. And then we're immediately going to launch. So by the end of this month, you will have Speakeasy in your hand to share with your friends and family and with the world. And it's public alpha. You go to the website, you can use it. We're then going to quickly move to the beta in early 2023, hopefully January, which is going to bring in a whole host of features which users expect and which we can build very rapidly. And once we get to that plateau, we will move into new and unique things, social features, sharing, influencer models, and full mobile apps. And the reason we can do this so quickly is because the XX network is now finally mature, thanks really to the group that I'm talking to right now. We've been working on Speakeasy for 2 months. When I spoke to you last about 2 months ago, we were working on channels, but we did not have the idea of Speakeasy yet. We thought of it, we built it, and we're deploying it now. And this will be fast. The initial launch will be a progressive web app. It's going to be a website. You go to the website, you create your account, you can take your identity to as many devices as you want, and you create these little blobs which you share with other people to let them join your speakeasy. It'll be surveillance and censorship free. It'll be running on mainnet, and it will have basic multi-device support, which I've mentioned a few times, which I'm sure you're all aware does not yet exist in the Messenger. Speakeasy has been designed from the ground up in a way which makes things like multi-device support trivial. So there's a lot more to learn about Speakeasy. There's a website up now, alpha.speakeasy.tech, where you can learn a little more about how it works, have more details of the roadmap, including all the features we plan on adding quite rapidly, and you can kind of get started learning about it. Also on the website is a media kit, so people who want to help the team advertise it have all the tools that they need. And that's pretty much it. Speakeasy is coming next week, and I'm really excited, and please join me for what I think will be a revolution. Bernie, over to you, or back to Aaron, whatever you'd like.
Yeah, hello everyone. We have just a couple announcements on our web platforms. So I think someone noticed, maybe it was a week ago or a week and a half ago, that we started adding this link to a new page called XX Hub. So that page is now live. You can go to hub.xx.network and check it out. Yeah, basically you can go to hub.xx.network. So we try to have a collection of all our websites and tools. So you can see we've separated sleeve generation into its own website. So you can generate a wallet in one place and then use it across the other platforms. We have also separated simple staking. So we've removed simple staking from the Explorer. It didn't make much sense to be in the Explorer. So now it's staking.xx.network. That's very simple to remember as well. Then we got the Explorer, CMix dashboard, our wallet, XX Messenger. We're going to add Speakeasy. That was just announced soon as well there. And then we have like a partners section. And this is where we have some announcements to make. So we have partnered with both Polka Assembly and Polka Stats. So Polka Assembly, and you can visit at XX, I can type in the chat, polkaassembly.io. So this is a website where you are able to view all the governance and democracy stuff that's happening on XX Network. So you will be able to connect to like a Polka.js extension or other extensions, and you can actually vote on issues on the network directly in this website. And it's got like a better UI than the wallet, which is quite complex, where you can see just governance and democracy focused stuff. And on top of that, because you can connect to your wallet, and your wallet kind of, it's not your identity, but you own your wallet, so you can sign to prove that it's yours. With this web page, with Polka Assembly, you can actually make comments about a proposal. So if you make a proposal to do something in the network, right, a referendum, and you've noticed many times people have asked us, when you go to the wallet, you don't know what it is. It just says some code or whatever. Here, you can actually, the person that creates the proposal can actually log in Polka Assembly, and they can type out exactly what they mean. Like, this proposal is to do this, and they can express why they think this should be done, and people can comment on that. So it's kind of like a forum. So this was something that we had part of and planned to have for XX Network, and obviously building something like this from scratch, it will take a long time. So we've partnered with Polka Assembly, and it's available now. There's also Polka Stats. So if you go to xx.polkastats.io, and that's basically just it's an alternative block explorer. So Polka Stats as a block explorer for Polkadot and Kusama. And we also were in touch with their team, and they've added XX Network support. You might notice the UI, you might be familiar with it, because the community built xxscan.io is actually a fork of Polka Stats, so it will look quite similar. The good thing about Polka Stats, or different than the native block explorer, is that you can also connect to your wallet, and it will let you select and compare performance of validators, and it will actually let you nominate directly from there as well. So it's not as simple as simple staking, but it's much simpler than the wallet. And yeah, we also have a tab for exchanges. There's Elixxir there, and whatever future exchanges would be added there as well. So then if we go forward to the Explorer, we have just added a couple of design changes and improvements in the Explorer. So like I said, we removed the simple staking from there. If you actually go to the Explorer, the old link of the simple staking, it will redirect you to the staking app. So we don't want people to lose like where the simple staking is. But yeah, basically in the staking page now you have a search bar, so you can search by name or CMIX ID or the account of a validator. And we'll also change the UI of each account's page. So if you go on the accounts page of an account, you'll see that now like all the blockchain information or stake information is now in sort of like a tab format instead of individual cards, let's say. And yeah, we have even more significant updates coming in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So this is a complete rework of both the backend and the front end of the Explorer. Well, the front end UI itself, it will still look the same, but it will be able to use the new backend to provide way more information than what it is now. For example, even the number of transfers that you see in Explorer right now, it's not 100% correct because it's only, the backend is only indexing transfers that are sent individually by users, while there are transfers that happen on other actions, for example, whenever we distribute coins for CanaryNet, stuff like that. So with that new backend, you will see like way more complete information, and yeah, it's coming soon. And then finally, about quantum secure transactions. So I believe we talked about this in the last meeting. The blockchain proof of concept is complete. So this means that we've modified Substrate to integrate the work that was done by ChainSafe, integrate Watts Plus signatures into basically transactions, and it all works. So that's like a huge milestone, but in order to make it usable, there's still a long way to go, as you can see. So first we need to actually finalize that work. It's just a proof of concept. It needs a lot of testing. It needs to run probably on a test net for a while with a lot of transactions being processed. We need to check the performance, the weights, all of that stuff that's ancillary to get quantum secure transactions. And then we need a lot of significant front-end work. So as you can imagine, we use for all the front-end platforms Polkadot.js. So that's Polkadot builds the library for front-end for access to Substrate networks, to any Substrate network. But obviously, there's no quantum secure cryptography there. So we have to implement all of that in WebAssembly bindings. And we have also to integrate that into the Polkadot.js API. So there's a lot of work to be done there. And yeah, basically that's it.
Okay, so you can go ahead now, Will, anytime you like. Thanks.
Yeah, hello everyone. So just going to go over a quick update on kind of the Foundation's initiatives. If you were here or for the last meeting or you watched the recording, some of these topics will be familiar to you. Otherwise, I'll just run through these real quick. Aaron's going to cover some of them in more detail, and then I'll cover some of the other ones. So we did talk last time about doing some Brave ad campaigns to try to bring some new attention to the network. And we were going to do that in conjunction with some type of XX airdrop campaign. Both those are currently on hold. I'll talk about that in 2 slides. So we'll move on to the KOL partnerships. This is something I think Aaron's going to cover in more detail. But we have been focusing the majority of our effort and resources on kind of more engaged marketing efforts, like partnering with KOLs, other communities, and using our resources to try to like bring people in more organically than straight ad campaigns. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. Another big thing we talked about in the last call, which we have some updates on, was partnerships. And this is partnerships with a variety of different types of other projects, platforms, or products. We do have a couple with wallets. We have some that are more geared towards events and leveraging the power of channels, and Speakeasy, which Ben just presented. We talked about the mobilization of the council, which was kind of the catalyst for creating these public meetings. And I'll just say on that, I don't think we have any major updates on this outside of the Polk Assembly platform that Bernie introduced. So, part of the initiative for starting these council meetings was to really put control of this platform in your guys' hands, you, the community. And that can be expressed both individually through voting, but also through representatives in the council. The Polk Assembly platform is a big step towards making the council and you, the community, even more effective in governing the platform, because it contains a lot of new tools that currently weren't available, which is, as Bernie said, being able to create discussions directly on referenda, being able to express in clear, plain English or the language of your choice what a referenda is about, why you think it's important, and it really allows you to, actually campaign and promote your interests. So that's kind of like the next big step of mobilizing the council and enabling the DAO is this, new platform for creating and sharing referenda through Polk Assembly. And then finally, a big question, obviously, on everyone's minds will be exchanges, and I'll touch on that briefly. So I think we can move on to the next slide. So I think this one is Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, Will. So moving right along here, basically, we did bring on another focus KOL from the Turkish region. That's a region that's already quite active, and there's still, we believe, a lot more room to grow there. So we want to continue to focus there. We looked at numerous influencers from the Turkish region, and we decided we wanted to go with someone. His name is Baris Kardis. I probably butchered the pronunciation. Sorry to my Turkish friends. But yeah, anyway, so we added him because obviously he's a fairly large account on Twitter, but also he's passionate about the subjects that XX Network delves into. Privacy, decentralization, anonymity, private payments, or all the things that surround the XX Network. He's already wrote some content in the past, even before we had reached out to him. So there was already some interest there from him in that regard. And so we went ahead and solidified a more focused approach from him on us. And it's been working out quite well. He has a recent thread talking about the XX Messenger payment features that are possible and how that would be done. It's a really great thread. I encourage you to go check it out. The other thing that has been quite helpful for us in creating connections, getting outside of our own silo, as it were, is to do Twitter Spaces. We really want to be organic with what we're doing. We partnered with some of our current KOLs like Ryan Solomon and Darren Moore, and we have done a few Twitter Spaces already since our last meeting, and those were really successful. We were able to obviously speak within those Twitter Spaces on subjects that pertain to us, and we were able to connect with other projects. Other influencers have started to research us and have reached out to us for more information, and we expect that will continue to grow the interest in our network. The other thing that happened was the Turkish community, I think, did their first Twitter space, and it was really successful. That was hosted by Hodl Bay and My Crypto and Nautilus and a few other people. I think Barris was in there as well. But that was really successful, and we like to see their continuing growth in the Turkish community. So yeah, moving on. It basically, we're kind of having an action call out to our own community. We want to continue to encourage everybody, get involved. I know some of you don't think that you have anything to offer, but I assure you, you do. With a little bit of passion, it goes a long way. So yeah, that's kind of the overall of what I would hope that we can move forward with. There actually is a lot going on. I'm going to let Will kind of share a little bit more of that right now. So Will, you can take off from there. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so picking up from Aaron here, digital ads was something we talked about last call, and the thought here was that we would do some highly targeted advertising, specifically around XX Messenger, in a handful of geographies starting out, but then expanding over time. We put this on hold currently for two reasons. One, we decided to focus our fairly limited resources on the KOLs that Erin was mentioning, doing more organic partnerships with existing communities. We found that these are more effective on a dollar by dollar basis. And they also bring in, I think, the right type of people. So it's a more organic growth. The communities support each other. And it's so far been a really good experience. So far we've put these on hold. The other reason why is largely, I think, because of Speakeasy. Through the pretty rapid development and idea formation of Speakeasy, or from what I've sat in on, in meetings with Elixxir, we really think that this is a much easier to market product. An application on the XX Messenger. It has a lot of benefits over XX Messenger in terms of being attractive to new users. One of them being primarily that it's a more community-focused product. So it's about building online communities rather than private messaging. And I think the unique aspects of the XX network are much better realized in Speakeasy than, say, in XX Messenger, and it's an easier story to tell. So I think the digital advertising we are going to do is going to probably focus around bringing people in once Speakeasy is more alive and well. And so, yeah, this is currently on hold, but we do plan on pulling this lever relatively soon. The next thing is airdrops. This is on hold due to largely two reasons. One is regulatory. Right after we had a Twitter space with Genfinity and we announced that we were interested in doing something like this to bring new users into the platform, there was a new SEC suit against a coin, I think it was called Hydra, specifically about releasing airdrops and trying to characterize any airdrop that is used to incentivize promotional activity as a security. So we obviously don't want to fall on the wrong end of the SEC at this stage, and so we have decided to put these on hold indefinitely. It's also, airdrops can be a double-edged sword. Yes, they bring new people into the platform, but if they're not done in a thoughtful, kind of controlled way, and they don't have some high impact effect, as in if we can't really tie it into big feature announcements, partner announcements, product announcements, then you're kind of just giving away coins without a lot of engagement in return. And that's obviously not good for the market of the coin. It's not good for the community. So, airdrops, we hope that there's a way in the near future that we can do some type of airdrop, some type of promotion, incentivized promotion to bring people into the network. But they are currently on hold for the foreseeable future. The next big thing is partnerships. A big focus in the last call was on the JavaScript API, which has been said is already finished. It's already working really, really well. And it's already delivering on its potential for partnerships. So we talked about Crust, eCash 2.0, one of the largest wallets in Asia last call. These are all still confirmed partnerships that are well underway. We've added a few others onto that, some of which Bernie talked about. One of them is Dweller, who's running endpoints for the XX network. Polkassembly is the governance platform we just talked about. Polkastats is yet another explorer that you can use to explore the platform, explore the blockchain, and check out transactions. And then we have a couple new ones in progress, specifically around the JS API and Speakeasy. I've spoken to multiple live event organizers who are interested in a white label product like Speakeasy, or even maybe Speakeasy itself, as a way to build out like a dedicated online community for their live events. So you go, and we talked about this last time as well. If you were to go to, for example, like DevCon, there would be Speakeasy channels specifically dedicated to DevCon, like the events, the talking events, any parties that are happening, and it really gives you a chance to connect outside of Telegram and other centralized messaging resources to other people in the event, and then hopefully eventually to have some integrated wallet functionality so that you can share NFTs, you can make payments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of interest around that, and we're trying to see what these. We're working with Elixxir to see how we can leverage that interest. Another one is we have a metaverse project that's interested in using CMix. I can't say too much more about this at this point in time, but this is something to look out for in the future. And then we have one major wallet provider, and then a couple others have reached out, looking not only to list the XX coin, but also interested in integrated messaging solutions inside their wallets or extensions. So this is another kind of really powerful partnership because it's something that we're uniquely suited to in this space. So it really leverages the strengths of XX. We're still, constantly on the lookout for new partnerships and kind of following up in multiple channels. But this is what we have so far. And I think next month we'll probably have a lot more to talk about. And then finally, exchanges. So we now have confirmed interest from quite a few different exchanges of multiple sizes. The biggest thing right now we're working on is there seems to be a renewed concern on listing privacy coins, of which I wouldn't necessarily consider the XX coin. It's not a privacy coin as most consider privacy coins. It's not like Monero or Zcash, in that all transactions are completely unlinkable on chain. So right now what we're doing is trying to build out a one-pager executive summary that we'll put inside the repository that's currently online that explains how our privacy works in comparison to other privacy platforms out there. Because one of the reasons we developed XX the way we did was we knew it would be more regulatory friendly than a truly, completely unlinkable cryptocurrency. So that's kind of where we're at. Once we get that out the door, I think we're going to have at least one or two exchanges. Don't hold me to this, but maybe next month. They're already ready to list. They've already done integration. It's just a matter of getting past, their governing board and making them feel confident that our coin is going to be regulatory friendly. And I think that's it for these topics. Do you have anything else?
I have a few things, if you don't mind. So first is Speakeasy is launching as a desktop app. It will very quickly have mobile support, but just Both the website and the app will be desktop only at launch. So just through the alpha process, getting stuff out, getting feedback. Second thing is, some of your browsers, when you go to the Speakeasy website, will give you warnings saying it's not secure. This is because it's currently HTTP, not HTTPS. And this is because we need to get all of your gateways to have special certs that browsers will accept, which they currently do not. We are in the process of building that. They'll be out next month. So while that is something that you'll see right now, you won't very soon. The last thing I want to mention about Speakeasy is that we are finalizing it up for launch by the end of this month. And I'd like to give a hint, people, pay attention to the Discord. It's more than likely on 1 or 2 occasions there will be a pop-up, hey, join us to test the pre-alpha before launch. So stay tuned. There'll be some fun stuff happening next week. I think that's it for me.
Let me just touch on, I know there was, I think, some discussion around basically rewards, both I think there was a concern that maybe running as a node versus being a nominator wasn't as lucrative as it should be. There were a couple of different ways we were planning on addressing that. One of them, was potentially to reset the staking curve. And there are a couple other mechanisms that we could look at. And I did want to say, because I had proposed, I think almost a month ago now, that we could reset the staking curve. That is still something we're holding in our back pocket as something the network could do, but I don't think it is the right solution for the concern of what you might call the spread between the earnings you get from running a node versus nominating a node, because it doesn't do anything to the spread itself. It just puts more coins in the hands of all token holders, which doesn't sound bad on the face of it, except it really places a lot of sell-side pressure on the coin and is a band-aid that could make things worse later on down the road if, and this is similar to the airdrops, if it's not done in conjunction with some other initiative to bring in new organic users. So we're probably not going to be resetting the staking curve, or, I'm not going to be suggesting reset the staking curve in the near term. But we are looking at other solutions and ways to make running nodes more feasible versus, or maybe, more reasonable and more lucrative than nominating. So we'll be in touch with what those look like, and you guys can share your feedback at that time.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate everybody's time. Of course, all the developers and also the council and our community that came along to listen to everything. So until next time, we will see you in the Discord for further chat. We hope you have a great day. Take care.